Good morning, y'all. We're in Genesis 32. All right, so and Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. Preach. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And that's important that we recognize stuff in our lives, man. It's not just, most people don't see stuff or recognize stuff. But I know the stuff that I have seen, for me, just like, signs and stuff like that, I say to myself, and I've said to other people, man, that was God for sure. There's some sign going on here, blah, 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 blah. And that's what we have to do, man, like Jacob did, and say, this is God's host. I mean, I say an example that we just have to recognize stuff, man. And by the way, TikTok offered me to go live, man. That's crazy. I just tried it. I had like one viewer. I just wasn't feeling the vibe, bro. Once we get a fan base up, something like that, we might try it. But now it's just not a good time. Because it's not like I can record it. It's not like there's an audience there. So once we get a fan base up, we could start something off like in the morning time or something like that. Let me get some feedback, man. But it's all about giving the glory. And if I can give a better Bible study by recording, then so be it. But it would be like a church if it was going live, I guess. All right, so. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And this kind of looks like preaching, y'all. This kind of looks like preaching or the softening up of the Lord. When we're in the Christ and everything. It kind of eases the fury. He's trying to, and that's also us meeting the criteria. To me, because he ends up sending waves of gifts to Esau, so that he'll be more convinced not to. Have a change of heart. Now, and he commanded them, saying, "Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus: I have served with Laban and stayed there until now. And the messengers, and I have oxen and asses and flocks fatched, and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight." Okay. So he really just trying to fill out the atmosphere of the animosity. I think that's what's going on, and that's okay because it's just classic tactics. With the Christ, it's just a classic tactic. It's really nothing fancy. We got no choice but to take him. That's it. If you have any sense, you realize there is no other option with the Christ. It's just classic war tactics. We don't stand a chance with God. Period. Facts. So you can dress it up any way you want to with this whole Christianity thing. This is a classic tactic. I'm trying to survive, y'all. I'm trying to survive. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it's all that. But guess what? It's more than that. This is a bulletproof vest. This is everything that you get. And I just try to spit things out in a more easy way. Because this is a classic war tactic. We know when we're beat. This is a white flag. We're surrendering with the Christ. You're not just surrendering. It's more than just a gentle surrender. No, we're ducking for cover. We are in retreat when we go to the Christ. God is a warrior. He will come and smite you to a point where you just wish it would be over. You know, he's a lot of things, man. So, I don't want no part of it, to be honest with you. So, and he commanded them, saying, okay, and the messengers returned to Jacob. The messengers, 32 verse 6, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother. Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Sheesh. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds, and the camels into 2 bands. Facts. There's something going on here. And it said, if Esau come to the and said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. Excuse me. Okay, now this is more classic war tactics, man. And I brought that up with the Christ thing because it is. I think the whole Christianity thing is misrepresented. I mean, yeah, God is good. Yeah, Jesus was perfect. Yeah, he healed people. But guys, you got to get out of the way of this God thing, man. And that's what it is to me. Among other things, first of all, it's the last straw. It's the only chance opportunity I have. I've tried other things. There is no other way. I can't avoid God. I am going to go to death. I mean, more than likely. And at that time, it's not just in death, it's in life, y'all. Stuff is happening in your life, and we don't want to recognize that it's our decisions doing it. But judgment happens immediately. It's not just happening in death, y'all. If you have situations in your life, things are happening, stuff like that. Those are direct result, a lot of times, if not all the time, from our actions. We don't want to say that. We say it's bad fortune, it's bad luck. Oh, they did this, it's their fault. I didn't deserve that. Boom, 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 boom. It could be a generational curse. You never know. But the misconception a lot of times is that everything's kosher until we die. No, judgment is happening all the time. No, judgment is happening all the time. Okay? It is not when you get there that it happens. It's happening all the time. Reaping and sowing, reaping and sowing. Okay? So these are classic tactics that's going on here. He's splitting up the people. And the messengers returned Jacob. Then Jacob was greatly afraid. He split up the people into two bands. Okay. This means something. I'm not sure what this means. But it'll come. I'm hoping it'll come. I try not to read too much into stuff, y'all. Alright. And Esau, unless I'm sure I have an image, I don't want to just say that it might be. If I feel like it's a good possibility, it could mean something, I'll tell you. But I'm not just going to say stuff just to be saying it. All right. And it said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. This is a Christ picture, potentially, because, we're escaping after the Christ was smited on the cross. So, he separated flesh from spirit. The flesh is smited, but guess what? The spirit's not. Preach. Okay, so yeah, that's what that could mean to me, because, yeah, when the new creation comes, guess what? We separate from that. Boom. Now we have the new creation. Guess what? The flesh is here, but we don't identify with that. The flesh is dying. It doesn't drive us. It doesn't move us. Hopefully, for the most part. We need to take charge over this and really put it in subjection. So that's what that looks like to me, is a spirit flesh picture, possibly even a Jew Gentile picture. If nothing else, a shield. He's a shield to take the blows, and he did that. Okay. Okay, so. And then Jacob was greatly, okay. And Jacob said, "O God, my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which sits unto me." Excuse me. Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal with thee. So he's quoting, he's saying that to he's saying, God, you told me to go home. How could you lead me up against this? I don't know if he's talking to God or just talking out loud, but he's talking. And he's mentioning God. Let's see. I think he's talking to God. I am not worthy of the least. God, whether you know it, anytime you talk, you're talking to God, really. Once you get close enough, God is with you. He's supposed to be in you. So, guys, he knows everything that's going on. So, just when you come to that realization, you realize everything you say, you're pretty much talking to God. Facts. You don't have to go to prayer to talk to God, man. Just saying. Prayer is good, but God is closer than prayer. I said, prayer sometimes, God is a lot closer than prayer makes him seem. God is a lot closer than that. You might turn and make a direct conversation to God in your prayer, a direct request, but guess he's hearing everything. He's hearing everything just as much as he hears the prayers. So, just saying. Facts. Alright, guys, so. I am not worthy of the least. 32:10, y'all. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. Facts. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become two bands. Deliver me. I don't remember the staff part. Huh. Huh. Maybe. Huh. I don't remember the staff part. I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, 33:10. He says, "For with my staff I have passed over this Jordan, and now I am become two bands." You know, the staff is symbolic too in a lot of stuff in the Bible. The staff. So, pushing on. Deliver me, 11. I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst. Saidst is basically saying, and thou said, but in the King James it's saidst. I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that night. Okay, so God, when he was doing that, he was basically saying, God, what is this? You said you're going to protect me. Now it appears that I'm in harm's way. This doesn't look like a prosperous thing to me. God, I'm praying to you. Please make sense of this and protect me. Okay. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau's brother. And I do think that when he split up the bands of people, that is like an image. Because when we regenerate and become the new man, we're splitting. Boom. We're making two out of one. We're separating ourselves from the regular man. Okay, the new creation, the new self, walking in the newness of life. Okay. When that happens, we're basically doing what he did and saying, okay, well, if you kill this, guess what? We're okay. And that only happens, when the new creation's there. If not, you're still in the old self. It's not going to be pretty. And it's a constant walk into that newness. Okay, so. And thou saidst. All right, now. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother. $200 she-goats and 20 he-goats. Let me just see what it says in 13, because that was kind of odd the way they worded that. 32:13. Let me look. Something about morning time and talking makes my nose run. I don't know. Sorry guys. 32:30 and yawning. 32. It says, so he stayed there that night, and from what he had with him, he took a present for his brother Esau. Okay. 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams. $30 milch camels and their colts, 40 kine, and 10 bulls. What is kine? 20 she-asses, preach, and 10 foals. I just want to see what kine is. 32:14. Kine. 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams. 30 camels, 40 cows, 10 bulls. 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. Excuse me. Okay, so which one the kine was? I thought that was kind of fascinating, but the kine. Let's see, 30. You'd be surprised where you find meaning, guys, in the most insignificant places. You gotta be willing to look under all stones. You know, when you wanna find God and you wanna find meaning, it'll find you if you're ready. But you got to be willing to look outside the box and know it can come from any area. God can come at you from anything. I'm not going to give any examples. I'm just saying. You might say, "Well, no, that's not right." You don't know anything about God, the way He can work. God can come out of anything, any situation, every seemingly obscure piece of information, anything, a road sign. It doesn't matter. God can talk to you. Period. End of story. Shut me down. God can talk to you through anything. I don't care what. An ant, there's clouds, whatever, man. Doesn't matter what it is. God can. So I don't mind looking at seemingly significant stuff. If I'm not familiar with it, and what is that? You never know what God can do, man. It's all about being willing to for God to talk to you. Okay. You just have to trust your gut instinct if you have one. Just sheep for the cattle. Sheep. Just cattle for the slaughter. Just going around. You think you know everything. You got it all figured out. You are on your way. Ribeye steaks coming out. All right, now. I'm just looking up that kind thing, y'all. It's right before the bulls. Let's see. Verse 15. I guess it's cows. Cows. They called them kine. Okay. All right. All right, so 32. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, and every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. So, guys, this is an image of the care and the strategy that he's using. He's being as most impactful as possible, and that's kind of like how God is, with the prophets and everything. He laid out so many things before the Christ came. Okay. And guess what? When the Christ came, now that we see it, we recognize the detail that went into that. And the foreshadowings and all of that. And that's what makes him what he is. I mean, he is what he is, but we know the full meaning because of all the stuff that was laid out before him. And the Spirit guides us into that truth. Okay, so it's just a classic illustration of preparing with care to the uttermost in a presentation, and that's the way we should be with our lives. You know, we should be lavishing, you know, God with our you know, this is God's creation. We should be lavishing it with our best efforts and over the top type stuff. Not necessarily over the top, just over the top with your all, with your sincerity. You know, you can buy the biggest gift in the world and not have your heart in it. You know, so it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, just because you buy something big or you know, doesn't mean it may be a great gift. But at the end of the day, if your heart's not in it, it's still a great gift. Don't get me wrong. But it means a lot more in God's eyes when you have your heart in it. It might not be money. It might not be anything like that. It might just be, you know, your heart's in it, your time's in it. You know, you made sacrifices. You know, so it's just an illustration of the effort that goes in. He put everything he could into making this is a parade of gifts. Boom. You know, you got float after float. They coming through. Everybody's, whoa, whoa. All the preparation, all the practice that goes into like a parade or something like that, you know. And so it's just like he literally had a parade of gifts so that he could find as much grace as possible. So it's just classic tactics showing that God is not all just a God. Faith without works is dead. You need to be putting some effort in. Put a show on for the Lord. I mean, not like that, but don't be scared to put some effort in for the Lord, man. That's what I'm saying. This is an illustration of many things, and I've already lost track of how many examples I made. But yeah. We need to be doing everything in our power, like Jacob, to let us look like the Christ. That's basically all we can do. Do everything in your power to look like the Christ. Do everything in your power. Short of, you know, throwing yourself into you know, whatever. Don't, you know, you always have to make sure that you're okay so that you can serve. You know. Don't leave yourself in a position where you're going to need to be served, because, you know, that's not always guaranteed. Okay, so then you'll be looking crazy. You know, always try to leave yourself in a position where you can serve. You know, best serve. Use your best, and that's a good illustration, because, you know, you want to leave yourself in the best position to serve as most effectively as possible, and that's what's going on. This illustration is coming out in many ways for me. You know, so and we're still going, just covering some stuff, man, that I think is important. Okay, now. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants. Every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou? And whither goest thou? Whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold, also he is behind us. So it's just over the top, man. And that's the way we need to be. Not with everything. everything that you can do it. He didn't leave any efforts out on this. He's been the most gracious, because he understands, guess what? Esau will whoop your tail. He knows Esau. He knows he's pissed. He knows he's a man of the field. He's a man of he's a man of the field. He's a tussler. Okay, so I don't know how to explain that situation. He just knows he's beat. He knows he's beat. That's the only thing I can show, and that's the way we know with God. We know we're beat. We know we're beat. We've already whooped ourselves. We know we can't whoop him. So, we can't even beat ourselves. We're terrible, man. All right. And so commanded he the second and third, and all that followed the drove, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face, peradventure he will accept me. So went the present over before him. And this is another thing came to mind, guys, is that the devil deceived us. So it really ain't our fault that this all happened with the curse in the world and the fallen state. We didn't ask for that. We were born into this. So God is fair when he brings the Christ in. And Jacob really didn't do anything wrong, other than tricked him out of his birthright when he gave him the bowl of soup of lentils. So and Esau didn't have to do that. He said, "Sure, what is my birthright to me if I'm dead? Give me that soup before I die." Okay, so yeah, and his mother's the one who put him up to that thing with the skins and all that, getting the blessing. So Esau really didn't do nothing wrong. Jacob. And that's kind of like us. We really kind of like innocent in a way, because we were born in this world, and it was already sin in the world when we got here. Okay, so yeah, you have a responsibility now that you know, but we didn't really ask for all this stuff. So that's why God has the Christ. He's fair. He did that. He showed us. He gave it to us. He's fair because he provided the Christ. I just want to share that. He's fair because he provided the Christ and all the information we have here and this video and this preach. So he's fair. He's explaining things, and letting us know that, hey, I know you didn't ask for all this, but here you go. You have a lot of power, and you have a potential to be destroyed and cleansed. So here's your tool. Go wash yourself up and stay clean. That's what he's saying. All right. And with that comes a lot of stuff. Doing God's work, not doing bad things, knowing the stuff, remaining teachable. All right. I'm gonna try to just fly through the end of this because I'm just gonna read this through, I think, It's only, all right, and then we'll talk about it. So he went to present over before him. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives. Now, when I see that he lodged that night in the company, that looks like to me, that looks like a spirit dwelling in us. He lodged that night in the company. Just saying, man. Take it, take or leave it. He lodged that night. Okay. Why would you mention that? He lodged that night in the company. That sounds a lot like the spirit dwelling in. It does. He lodged that night in the company. Just saying, man, that really sounds like the spirit coming in. He lodged that night in the company. Why would you even mention that? It's his stuff, it's him. But he lodged that night in the company. Okay? Guys, wake up. Smell the Folgers. Smell the Folgers, man. Maybe you're not a fitting lodge. You know, maybe that's why you're not hearing all this. Maybe you don't have. Maybe you're unoccupied. Maybe there's no spirit in you. I don't know. Sheesh. Okay. So he lodged himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over the ford Jabbok. Why didn't it say 12 sons? He had 12 sons. There's a half tribe of Manasseh, that's what I heard. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. Yeah, we already went through this. There's 12 sons. So, we'll come back to that. Okay. And Jacob was left alone. And Jacob was left alone, and he there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. This is a definite image of something. I mean, maybe. Let's just read it. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Thy name should be called no more Jacob. This is when he becomes Israel, y'all. Like I said. So, I don't know why they're wrestling. What that symbolizes. I don't know if it's a devil picture, a word. You know, I don't really separate the devil too much from you know, this whole thing, the devil included, is all a part of the process, if I'm not mistaken. If that's my higher understanding. I don't know if I'm right, but it's all a part of the purpose. You know, that the devil come into the world and all that. It's all a part of the purpose for us. So, I mean, I could be wrong. It just seems like it's nothing. If for God to know everything, and for Him to be what I think He is, then, you know, then all of this plays a role, even the bad stuff. So I don't. Okay. All right. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask me after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Okay, preach. Let's check up there on 30 on that, because let's go to 29, 30, 39. What is your name? He said, Jacob. 27. Then he said, Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men. Striven. And and have prevailed. And that needs to be us, man. We need to prevail. You know, he prevailed. You can prevail or not prevail, man. That's what I'm saying, man. With this once saved, always saved. You're not okay. You're not okay. You're either gonna prevail or you're not. This is a drama. And have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him, Please tell me your name. But he said, Why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. And Jacob asked him, Please tell me your name. But he said, Why is it that you ask me my name? 29 now. And there he blessed him. And so Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. The sun rose up. And Jacob called the name of that place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face. And my life was preserved, and as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose up. The sun rose up. 31. The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the people of Israel do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh. That's it for the reading. So there's a lot going on here. Let's see if I can get my bearings together for an overview. So Jacob turns into Israel. He asks him his name. It doesn't look like he... It doesn't look like he told him the name. That's kind of important. Jacob asks him the name. He doesn't really tell him the name. And that's kind of important. So Jacob was deemed a prevailer and a blessed man because, I guess all this happened as he was sending the droves and all that. So there's a lot going on here. I don't read too much into it. But this is the part, y'all, where Jacob is leaving Laban, escaping by the hair of his teeth again. I mean, not really, but Laban was a mighty man, I think. So he's got his 11 children, and that's kind of odd because there was 12 children. Let me see. Let me back up. Let's see here. Joseph. Oh, he had a daughter. Okay, she doesn't count. It says his 11 sons. Dinah was the 12th. So that makes sense. His 11 sons. Dinah was the daughter. 4, 7. Yeah, there's 12 children, but 12. Dinah was one of them. She was a daughter. Okay, guys. So he passed over with his 11 sons. Okay, so guys, I just want to make sure we got a lot of the stuff out of there. There's a lot, and it's about the presentation that he made. Knowing when you're beat. To go on against sin and God would basically be, you're just fighting a giant. There's nothing you can do against that. It is a sure failure. You cannot win against sin. It's going to have you somewhere terrible. And, whatever. And that's what we do when we go against sin, y'all. It's like, there is no win in that. It's not going to work. And there's a fine line. There's a fine line between... I take that back. There's not a fine line. I'm just rambling now, but yeah. So, guys, we're at Preach Facts on YouTube. And, questions, suggestions, or anything of that nature, critiques, you can go to preachfacts7@gmail.com. That's 7, preachfacts7. Alright. So that's what's going on, y'all. We got everything covered about what's going on. He strove, and he prevailed. And there's stuff going on there, and that almost looks like a us and our sin and all that. How we're striving. We're striving against the flesh, all this and that. We're striving, and when we prevail, we we get a new name and stuff. It says that somewhere. And you know, I don't know if we can find out what that name is, but it does say that somewhere, I think, that we get new names. So, guys, I'm letting y'all go. I don't feel like we had a great video, but we read 32. And you know, the point is that you're using your best strategic, using your resources and your strategy and common sense and practicality all apply to the Christ, and how that relevant that is to you, which is not part of the worldly message. You know, the message in the world is that, oh, God is some distant, possible thing that, it's just something that you just, eyes closed, hand raised, whatever. It's just, and that's not the way it's going on here. He had to use every bit of sense that he had and resources to, I'm not saying he had to, but he did. He used every bit of common sense and logic and effort. He used everything he possibly could to make this to make sure he met the criteria. And and that's just what he did, and that needs to be us. That needs to be us, because you cannot beat God. It's not about you. It's about what's in you. It's about what's in the world. It's about what needs to be in you. You need to let the Spirit come in and let it do its work and have the new creation, so that you can split into two bands like he did, and have, in case, split, you need to have two things going on. You need to have you in the new creation, and let go of the old you, boom, the flesh, and be, that's what you need to be going on. So there's a lot going on there. I think we got most of it. I'll see you tomorrow, guys.